Greetings travelers! We've already reached the second half of version 5.6, and it's quickly coming to a close. So for today's video, let's talk about some additional information that might appear in version 5.7 or in the upcoming versions that follow. Let's start with the potential character lineup for 5.7. As many of you already know, the new Cryo DPS character Skirk is expected to be released in this patch. Alongside her banner, we'll likely see Emily as well. In the second half of the update, we may also see banners from Ibuka and Shinha. Personally, I believe there's a high chance this lineup will happen. Emily hasn't had a rerun since her initial release a year ago, and with the introduction of a new Cryo reaction, she might be the best suited Dendro applicator to support it. We'll talk more about this new reaction later in the video. Shinha also makes sense, especially with the release of a Cryo DPS. Currently, she remains the best Cryo damage buffer for a Cryo-focused team, particularly since Bennett may not be viable in a freeze team setup due to Skirk's mechanics and limitations. As for Mavuka, I see her as a strong candidate to compete with Skirk on the banner. Hoyoverse often applies pressure on players by offering compelling banner choices. However, the final lineup could still change depending on the developers' decisions leading up to the release of 5.7. Now, let's move on to the total rewards we can expect throughout version 5.7. This breakdown should help those of you who are free-to-play players, especially if you're saving Primo Gems or planning to invest in Skirk, or any other upcoming character. Archon Quest and Story Quest, 340 Primo Gems. Spiral Abyss, 800 Primo Gems. Imaginarium, 800 Primo Gems. Achievements, 20 Primo Gems. New area chests, none confirmed. New feature, Tumult Subduer, 450 Primo Gems. Trial characters, 80 Primo Gems. Daily commissions, 2,520 Primo Gems. Intertwined Fates, 5 Fates, converted to Primo Gems. Event rewards, 2,390 Primo Gems. Version update compensation, 600 Primo Gems. Promo codes, 360 Primo Gems. That gives us a total of 9,160 Primo Gems for free-to-play players. This can go up to 12,940 Primo Gems if you have the Welkin Moon, and even reach 14,260 Primo Gems if you also purchase the Battle Pass. Now let's talk about some future updates that might be added in 5.7 or its later phases. First up, the potential new skins for Kaveh and Alhaitham, which are rumored to be part of a collaboration promotion. There's also a possibility of a new pet being added to our collection. It's still uncertain whether their skins will be released in version 5.8, since that's typically when skins drop, but there's also information suggesting that Yelan and Bennett could receive skins in 5.8 as well. Now, regarding the Kaveh and Alhaitham skins rumored to be part of a KFC collaboration, some believe this might just be promotional artwork. But let's stay hopeful, it could turn out to be actual in-game skins. Let's also take a look at some characters rumored to be introduced in the version 6.x series. According to leaks shared by HXG_Dialect, here's the potential order of release. Barbalov, version unknown. Columbina, version 6.2. Barca, version 6.4. New Geo character, version unknown. Durin, version 6.1. There's also potential for Tor to appear, although some leakers are now suggesting this might not happen, at least not at the current development stage. In addition, a new female Adeptus may be released as part of Liyua's upcoming content, and there's talk of another new female character tied to the Curatorium secret, related to the Nodcry expansion. Please remember that this information is unconfirmed and comes from various leakers. These characters are not part of any official lineup just yet. Still, it's good to be aware of these possibilities, especially if you're saving your Primo Gems for your favorite future characters. As always, take these leaks with a grain of salt and use them only as a reference while planning your pulls. Now, let's talk about the new elemental interactions introduced in the Imaginarium Theater. Important disclaimer. These elemental effects are currently exclusive to the Imaginarium Theater, which means they are part of a controlled gameplay environment. As such, the mechanics may be amplified or experimental, and could be rebalanced, simplified, or even removed in future updates depending on player feedback and developer direction. That said, let's dive into the two major interactions that players refer to as the RimeGrass effect and the SuperRime effect. RimeGrass effect, Cryo plus Dendro. When an enemy is affected by both Cryo and Dendro, it triggers an effect known as Frost Thorn. Frost Thorn deals damage over time, to all enemies afflicted with both elements. It also increases the damage those enemies take from Cryo and Dendro sources. This synergy is especially useful for teams that rely on Cryo and Dendro characters with limited off-field capabilities, as it enables sustained damage without constant on-field presence. In short, this effect acts as a team-wide damage amplifier and off-field damage source, expanding the flexibility of team comps that include Cryo and Dendro units. SuperRime effect, Cryo plus Dendro plus Electro. When Electro is applied on top of an existing Frost Thorn effect, it upgrades the reaction into what is called the Super Thorn. The damage over time effect becomes stronger. The debuff applied to enemies is also more potent, making them more vulnerable to further damage. However, there is a notable drawback: characters standing in the area of effect can also take damage. It is currently unclear whether this self-damage effect is a natural consequence of the SuperRime reaction, or a side effect from a specific blessing or boon selected within the Imaginarium Theater. This mechanic is reminiscent of Hyperbloom and Burgeon, where introducing a third element enhances the reaction's damage, but may also pose a risk to the active character due to splash or AoE damage. Despite the risk, this interaction isn't necessarily a disadvantage. There are many viable healers in the Cryo, Dendro, and Electro elements, making the self-damage manageable, especially in a team with proper support. While these reactions are not yet part of the standard elemental system, their introduction could be a testing ground for future gameplay mechanics. If upcoming updates truly focus on expanding Cryo-based reactions, it would make sense to introduce more impactful Cryo synergies. Currently, Cryo lacks strong reaction-based damage output compared to Dendro or Pyro-related elements. Introducing something like RimeGrass into the core game could help balance elemental viability and make Cryo teams more competitive in high-end content. And that wraps up today's video. I hope you found this information helpful as you prepare for version 6.0 and beyond. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps our community grow and keeps you updated on all the latest content. Thank you, and have a great day, travelers.